Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the weekend. It's a weekend. Thank goodness. Saturday's here. We can enjoy ourselves. Anyway, listen. Here's the thing. How well do you guys really know Donald Trump? I'm going to present some evidence here, and I want you guys to start speculating on it. Now, I speculate a lot on different types of evidence, but I'm going to present some evidence to you here, and I want you guys to speculate on it a little bit and see what you think. I'm just going to present the evidence. I'm not going to speculate on it this time. Okay, so let's get started. Where's my charts? Okay, let's open the charts right here and take a look right here. Now, this channel, I really like going to this channel. He presents a really good information, up to date. It's called the Money GPS, I really like this channel. And he's got an article here. It says 7 million Americans didn't pay their car bills. The global slowdown escalates. I guess the global slowdown is escalating. We're heading headfirst into a recession. Now, this is part of the evidence all around the world. Now, Donald Trump has started these super powerful trade war with China. Tremendous powerful trade war with China. And a lot of people out there, right from the very beginning when Donald Trump got elected as president, they thought he's crazy. A lot of people think he's crazy. A lot of people think talk about him, they think he's not with it and all this kind of stuff. But you know what? The evidence doesn't point in that direction. In fact, the evidence points toward this man being somewhat of a genius. And he doesn't make decisions unless he's got some sort of a plan going on, an overall plan. And I believe that he really is interested in the interests of Americans. That's what I believe. And I don't believe he's crazy. I think it's more points toward him being somewhat of a genius rather than crazy. But right now, he's doing things that seem to some people to be right out of whack, out of left field, like this huge trade war. But it might all be part of something bigger, something much bigger than we could imagine. Because let's take a look at what's really going on in the world right now. Now, this is more of evidence right here. And this is a very important piece of evidence we're going to take a look at. Trump is poised. Now, this article's a little bit older. It's from CNBC. Let me see when the article was released. Published 11:58 a.m., Friday, the 20th of July, 2018. So this article's old news. But it still applies as evidence for what we're looking for here. As Trump was poised to take control of the Federal Reserve. President Trump sharply criticized Federal Reserve this week. So he's been criticizing them for a while now, but he is in the position to take control. It says right here, Trump will have the opportunity to fashion the central bank in the image he would like as 4 vacancies to fill the board of governors. So Trump is insidiously taking control over the Federal Reserve. And this is part of the evidence. Now let's take a look at some more evidence. This is really big evidence right here. This article right here. Very important. Big evidence I want you guys to look at. Why Donald Trump's companies went bankrupt. And what we want to focus here on this is that, where is it, part of this article? This is the part I want you guys to focus on right here. Trump has filed Chapter 11 bankruptcy for his companies 6 times. 6 times. He's filed Chapter 11 bankruptcy for his companies. 3 of the casinos he had went bankrupt during the recession of the early 1990s. This was part of it. 3 of the casinos went bankrupt in the early 1990s. Now, I want to talk about how America has very much similarities to a corporation. These casinos went bankrupt. They had a lot of employees, a lot of staff, a big building, land, everything else, and almost like a condensed version of a tiny version of America. America's similar. America has a lot of employees. It has land, like a casino has land, but it's much larger. Okay, picture the casino that he controls as being a little tiny like this, and America's great, big, huge, you know. But it's the same idea. It's sort of like one of his casinos, but he's controlling it. He's pulling the strings, sort of like he controlled the casino when he took the casino under bankruptcy. And so he's done it on three of the casinos went bankrupt in the early 1990s. And he's also filed Chapter 11 bankruptcy 6 times in all. So he allows the bankruptcy. It says right here that Chapter 11 bankruptcy allows the companies to restructure or wipe away much of their debt to other companies, creditors, and shareholders. Well, let's compare that to America. America's deep in debt right now, and a bankruptcy would allows these companies to restructure. Well, he's done this 6 times. How well do you really know Donald Trump? A lot of people don't know that he has advanced, probably more than most men on earth. He has advanced experience in how to proceed with a bankruptcy. Okay? So let's take that into evidence. That probably of all the men in America, he probably has the most experience at allowing a company to restructure after a bankruptcy and wipe away much of their debt to other companies, creditors, and shareholders. Well, let's just change the wording a little bit. To wipe away much of their debt to other countries, creditors, and shareholders. Okay, so let's just start thinking here a little bit. Now, we know he's taken control of the Fed. Now, what exactly is the Fed that he's taken control of? Let's take a look here at what the Fed is. And this comes from Investopia. Now, this is more evidence I want you guys to look at. The Fed is the lender of last resort. This is what they are. A lender of last resort is an institution, usually a country's central bank, that offers loans to banks and other eligible institutions that are experiencing financial difficulty. So let's go back with the evidence a little bit and take a look at what's happening here in America. 7 million Americans didn't pay their car bills. Global slowdown escalates. And what does the Fed do? It's the lender of last resort to a company or institution that has financial difficulty. So, do they have limits, the Fed, on how much money they can lend? No. Now I'm going to insert one more big piece of evidence here. First off, we have to understand that there's no limit to how much the Fed can lend out in an economic crisis if America's in trouble. Now I want to point out one huge piece of the puzzle here. If America goes bankrupt, they have one of 2 ways of doing it. There's only 2 routes that they can take here. So picture it's a road. You're going down the road. You come to a fork in the road. There's 2 directions. There's right. You can go to the right, or you can go to the left. You got your choice. Okay? This is the way with America. If America's debt keeps expanding, they're going to reach that fork in the road. And when they reach that fork in the road, they got one of 2 directions they can take. One is to default on the debt. Okay? In other words, America goes bankrupt. Everybody is messed up. The treasury bonds are worthless. Everything's worthless. They could take that road. Because the debt itself is growing exponentially, and it's pushing us to this fork in the road. We're going to get there, to the fork in the road. So we got one of 2 directions we can go. We can go that way, where we basically declare bankruptcy and we default on everything. Massive, instantaneous, worldwide crisis that could lead to unimaginable consequences to take that route. It's almost unthinkable. And I think Donald Trump, you know, with his amazing intelligence, and I do believe this is true, that he is he's top notch. He's very smart. I think they did an awful lot of the media and everybody out there underestimates this man's intelligence. They're underestimating him. Okay, he's got that route. He knows about that route. And I think basically it's like, I'm not going down that road. I'm not going down that road. I don't think he's going to go down that road. That road would be too devastating. Okay? But then there's another road that goes off in the fork in the road. And this road is called, it's more slow. It's a slower way of doing it, but it gets the same result in the end. And it's called inflation. Okay? Now, Donald Trump, we got to take a look at some evidence here. And remember the evidence. Let's go back to the evidence. Donald Trump said to the Fed not long ago, we got to go into quantitative easing 4. We got to lower interest rates. Okay? What does that do? Quantitative easing 4. Well, it injects money into the system. Voluminous amounts of money into the system. And we got to look at the evidence that that's the way he wants to go. But that is this exact road, if he takes that direction, that's the exact road that leads to inflation. And basically, what would inflation do? Well, it wouldn't come instantaneously, boom, like that. Instantaneously, you're into a hyperinflation. It doesn't work that way. It's a slow process. If a country's led into that process slowly, what happens is you see inflation start at first. And then the inflation grows, and it grows until people that are holding their money in the bank start to get nervous about holding their money in the bank, and they start to lose confidence in the purchasing power of the dollar. Okay? That's the way that road leads. So let's just take a look at this. We're coming to this fork in the road. We can go to the right or to the left. The direction that leads toward hyperinflation is probably the least dangerous option. There's no good options here. Okay, we're coming to the fork in the road. There's no good options. We're going to have to take one of these two roads. But the hyperinflation option is slower, and it allows the country the same thing as the bankruptcy option. But with the hyperinflation option, you're paying everyone. You're going to pay off all your creditors. They're going to get their money. So there's not the huge catastrophe. The U.S. Treasury bonds will be all paid. The people's Social Security will be all paid. Everything will be all paid. Everybody will get their checks with the hyperinflation. The only one thing is the money goes down the road of being worthless in the end. Ultimately, that's where that road leads. So, what could get us there? Now, let's go back to the evidence. What could get us there a little bit quicker into the hyperinflation? Let's take a look at some evidence. What could get us there a little bit quicker? If tariffs were imposed on the Chinese-made goods, which represent, you'd be amazed. You go into the stores in America, retail sales, and on the internet and online, you'd be absolutely amazed and astounded by how many goods are actually Chinese. You walk through the store door, and you go inside, and you see all these items in there, and how many times do you sit there and look for a sticker or a little sign that says Made in China? You don't look for that. You just pick up the item. You don't ask if it's made in China or not. You'd be amazed when you go into your Walmart tomorrow how many items in there are made in China. You'd be absolutely amazed. So, what is going to be the effects of putting this 25% tariff on? Well, this is jacking the price up on everything Chinese by at least 25%, maybe 30%. It's going to be passed on to the American consumer, but ultimately, this is like raising the inflation level across all of America, because the stores are going to go in and they're going to mark everything up. When everything gets marked up, everything else is going to get marked up, even if it's not made in China. You know? Do you really believe that if you go into the store and they got a whole big section of cheeses that all came from China and they're all marked up 25, 30%, that the cheese that's right next to them, the price aren't going to follow suit? Everything's going to follow suit. Everything you buy. Plus, to top it off, we've got tremendous amount of farmers out there right now in America who have had one terrible, terrible, terrible growing season like we've never seen before. This is going to affect food prices all the way across the board. It's the perfect storm for massive inflation coming upon America. Evidence. Massive inflation coming upon America. We got a president that knows what he's doing in regards to bankruptcy. He's done it 6 times before. There's 2 ways of accomplishing a bankruptcy. Default or inflate it away. We've got the lender of last resort here, poised and ready, with Donald Trump in control of the lender of last resort, or at least he has a lot of power within the lender of last resort, which is the Federal Reserve. They can lend as much money as is needed in any form of a crisis in America. What it's all pointing toward is inflation coming in massive amounts. Now, I said I wasn't going to speculate. I'm starting to speculate. I'm sorry, guys. I speculate a little bit. I'm going to let you guys do the speculation. But to me, it's just so overwhelmingly obvious what's coming. You know? The big question mark is how is this going to affect Donald Trump's next run for presidency? I don't know. Don't know about that. But all I do know is we're heading into this fast. We've got a headwind pushing us into this. And I don't see any way out right now at this point. I think we're heading toward massive inflation. Is coming right around the corner. And this is why we're seeing a pickup in certain things like cryptocurrencies. And this could spread to gold and silver pretty soon. Of course, you got to know that they're controlling the price of gold and silver. This lender of last resort is there to prevent bank runs. You know, and they can produce as much cash as they want. But what's your dollar going to be worth in the end? Listen, thank you guys for listening. Like and subscribe, and we'll catch you guys in the next show. Bye-bye.